So my first introduction actually working at Wildcat 91.9 was coming in 7:30 a.m. every day and recording the morning, afternoon, and evening news updates, and doing that for probably about a year and a half to almost 2 years. And that really showed me a lot about not only the local news cycle, but the beast that the news cycle is. Figuring out what kinds of stories are out there, kind of just regurgitating the information, finding press releases, conducting interviews with as many people that I could as possible, and maintaining still, my sanity with doing the news every single day and trying to engage people on the mic and on the air. It wasn't until I started coming onto the morning show and helping out with Jackson Max that I started figuring out a little bit more of the personality side of things. And if it really wasn't for Ian's, incentive and want for someone who is good at video storytelling, but also could utilize those same skills in audio, I don't think I would have made that jump. I don't think I would have actually taken the knowledge and the things that I learned from Drew at Channel 8 and applied it as well at Wildcat 91.9 if I didn't have that extra push from Ian to say, no, you can do that. You can do that in video. No, you can do that also in audio. Why not? Why not? He'd always push me. He'd always say, why not? Just try it. Just try it and see what happens. And so after lots of trial, lots of error, and lots of just trying things over and over and over, I really figured out a rhythm. And then in fall 2022, I ended up taking over as program and news director. And that was all because Ian pushed me in that direction. He said, why not? Try it. See how program and news director works, and see if you can balance the two. See if you can continuously program the radio station throughout the week and make sure that you hold people accountable for being on air while also recording the news updates. Oh, and then also, can you host the morning show? So I was hosting the morning show from 9 to 11 a.m. I was recording the news updates each morning and holding people accountable for doing their shows and setting up the schedule for all the programming that we have on the air. And so, was there a lot on my plate? Yes, but it was only because Ian saw what was in me that I didn't see. That is why I ultimately was able to achieve the things I was able to do. I think that's really what paved the way for me to take the risks I took and end up in the position as assistant chief operator under him during his decline in the last few months before he passed. And so it was it was just a whirlwind of events of him sitting down and talking to me about the goals that he had and the things that he wanted to achieve and how he wanted to be the best college radio station in the nation. And we only were going to achieve that if we came together, myself as program and news director under him, and figure out all these awards, what we're submitting, engaging the people who we need to engage to create the content that we needed to submit for the awards. And if it wasn't for that collaboration of us two, I don't know if we would have won those things. I don't know if we would have been able to pull out, Intercollegiate Broadcasting System, best college radio station in the nation for 2023, if it wasn't for the guidance and the planning that Ian had ahead of time. And then I just so happened to come along to say, I want those things too. I don't know how to achieve them, but it seems like you have a good path. So let's try it. Let's submit and let's just flood the field. That's really what he was all about every time. Flood the field, as many awards as possible, submit as much audio, and when we make the composite, which is how you ultimately win Best Station in the Nation, then we want to bring together the best audio that we can to be able to piece into 20 minutes, and let's show them what our sound is. And with that vision and those goals, that's why we were ultimately able to achieve the things that we did, and why I'm so thankful that I was able to be along for the ride and play the pieces in the right way for Ian to be able to win Best College Radio Station in the nation. It was a mixed bag of things. Ian and I butted heads. We loved each other. There's so many different aspects of our relationship where I'd be totally fine and I would call him at midnight. He'd call me at 1 a.m. we would touch base all the time on what we're doing, and it was always interesting seeing him around campus in the professional settings of things because I was so close with him on so many levels. Like he gave me his old orange chair that he had in his house, and that currently sits in my office at home. That he got as like a payment for one of his radio shows out in California that he was doing, and they didn't have the money to be able to pay him at the time, so they just gave him this chair that for some reason somehow he said belonged to Sean Hannity along the way at some point. I don't know. It was kind of one of those crazy weird stories, like knowing Stormy Daniels, you know, like he knows all these unique characters and people that I was always wanting to emulate and like learn from and figure out. And I think that's really where we came together, was that incentive to want to learn and figure out together how to piece all these different aspects of creating content and bringing people in that we knew would be talented radio hosts and amazing sports broadcasters that would set us up to achieve the things that we achieved. And I think it was our personal relationship that really helped kind of get those gears going and the people involved, because they saw us working together in tandem, setting up with Colby Van Camp and Jacob Cummings, and I mean, you go through the list of all the people that really helped us be able to edit audio and piece things together. But personally, Ian and I, we had a very close relationship when it came to communicating outside of the radio station and helping personally. He helped me through a lot with my relationships, and a lot of the things that he always came back to, especially when it came to communicating with someone that you love, is compassion, and showing compassion and being able to communicate that through not only words but actions and the things that you do in your day-to-day life. And I don't think I would be, the person I am today if it wasn't for those things that Ian helped me be able to do and strive for. So all these walls in here used to be white, which was disgusting. I mean, you just talk about like the atmosphere of the station. I mean, 6 years ago, not even close to what it was now. I mean, they had posters and things up in here, and it was a cool environment because it's a college radio station. But when he came in, he's like, "No, we're Wildcat 91.9. We're the Wildcats. We need to have purple. We need to have black. We need to put up foam on the walls, and we need to get an emblem out on the main entrance to the radio station, and provide a space where people feel like they belong and where they can come and spend time." And so now I'm so thankful that when I come here, there's always people hanging out on the beanbags or clapping to clap the lights on with his clappers that he bought, and just spending time together in the conference room, whereas that conference room was just a barren wasteland of filing cabinets and old office chairs. And he came in and saw that space and just had a vision. And so many people say how much he was a visionary when it comes to all the things that he wanted to do and achieve. And I think the first step was creating that atmosphere at the radio station for the people to feel like they have a space that they can come to, number one. And then number two, creating audio and storytelling that is able to engage listeners and help bring in more people. And so he was able to really help oversee a lot of those things that helped us engage more students to get involved and more creations to come out of that, and therefore more things to submit for awards, and then ultimately lead us to a point where our content was getting so good that we were able to then compete at the national level for the intercollegiate broadcasting system to help us win best college radio station in the nation. But it didn't happen overnight, I mean, it took 3-4 years of building on top of a pandemic. I mean, he came in 2017, built 3 years, and then pandemic hit, rebuild another 3 years, 6 years goes by. And then that's when finally everything was clicking, right people were in the right place at the right time. And ultimately, I think his vision that he had of creating the atmosphere, bringing together the talented voices that he saw, and engaging the students at a different level than what they were engaged before he was here, with creativity and on-air personality. That's really where we were able to flourish and thrive and ultimately win Best College Radio Station in the nation from. Ian made me better as a broadcaster because of the things that he would say, not the things he wouldn't say, because then you're just left in the dark and you're wondering, wait, was that good? Was that bad? Please tell me, what did I do wrong? So I was always asking him, like, what did I do wrong? And first he would always say, well, this is what you did right, and now here's what you did wrong. And then he would go through and it'd be positive criticisms. It'd be like, okay, let's change the news update from this is your news update. Whose news update? Yours? Why is it yours? Who? Don't say your, say a. It's a news update, and this is a news update. And so that's how I eventually came around to, for Wildcat 91.9, I'm Dawson Wagner, and this is a news update. Instead of, for Wildcat 91.9, I'm Dawson Wagner, and this is your news update. And so you see the difference in that, like, tone? It's like those small things, those very minuscule changes that he was able to help so many students tweak and figure out how to find that voice and that confidence in being able to, tell stories and have consistency in what they're doing on the air. And so that's really where I was struggling at first, is I wasn't consistent, with my tone and with my flow and the news updates. And it took me time. I started off just very slow. For Wildcat 91.9, I'm Dawson Wagner, and this is your news update. Ugh. It's like night and day. I feel like it was night and day from the things that he was able to give me feedback on, and then ultimately help me adapt to and then overcome. And he did that for so many different students too, just being able to give that good feedback that ultimately would make you a better broadcaster and more confident as a storyteller. And I found that confidence through doing the news updates, hosting the morning show, and pushing myself out of my comfort zone and trying to cover the local elections. That was a big night, the first time we ever covered local elections here in 2022. For the first time, and he wanted to get my dog Uni involved with it, and we would have Uni in the studio giving news updates. And so he would have, anytime Uni barked, it would be a breaking news update. We'd have to come in for a new set of numbers of who and what voted and or who voted for what. And so it was a fun little promo he ended up editing together at the very end that I could go find and show you. But it's all about introducing the night of the election, and then introducing me, and then having Uni bark, and then when Uni comes in, then we break in with the callers that we had stationed around the state of Kansas, giving the live and local numbers for the election. And so it was a really cool form of engaging a lot of different students at the station to get involved with the election, and at the same time pushing me out of my comfort zone to try and figure out how to do it on the fly, because I'd never covered an election before. I don't know how to do this. But Ian stepped on the other side of the mic from me, and I was like, okay, so we're doing this together. And he was like, I'll show you. We're going to do it, and we're going to pull it off. We're going to have Uni give the news updates. And I was like, oh, okay, you got a wild idea. I don't know how this is going to come together. But then he made a amazing post recap promo of the election with all these different sound effects of Uni barking, people giving the news updates, me coming in, and him talking about the successful night covering the election. And so it's like those types of visions and forms of creativity that just... It was really unprecedented in the way that he was able to just come up with those things and push people to achieve. I mean, I wouldn't be in the position I am today, I don't think I'd be assistant chief operator of the radio station here at K-State if it wasn't for Ian. I only really stayed at K-State because of Ian. I was debating back and forth like so many people on where do you want to go in this huge broadcasting industry? There's so many different avenues. You want to freelance, you want to work at a radio station, a TV station, you want to do marketing, sales, advertising. and I was gonna potentially work at KSNT and start reporting for them as a multimedia journalist. But then I broke my right hand and I couldn't use a camera, so I was gonna be starting at Wildcat 90.9 at that same time that I broke my hand, and I was gonna be starting at KSNT. But thankfully, and it just so happened it was a lining of like the stars and just where I guess the plans were set for me, and I ended up focusing more on radio because of my hand being broken, and Ian saying, yeah, you can just use your little cast to push up the pots and you can still record, you'll be fine. And that's how I started doing the news updates with my broken right hand, and he was totally fine with that, and it still worked. And so from those experiences and those things of me just trying out, even with a broken hand, recording and doing audio, it set me down a path of getting more involved with radio than TV. And I still miss that TV aspect. And so I was very thankful that I was able to balance while Wildcat 90.9 was still being involved with Channel 8. And I think that's really the cool aspect about Kansas State University, is that you can be involved in both. And in a way, this is now turning into like a promo for Kansas State, but like it is true that not many universities allow you to be able to balance both radio and TV at the same time. And so for me, I was creating a video story, and I would put together something over Aggieville parking, and then I would turn around, edit the audio together, put it out as an audio update, and then consolidate it down into a vertical video and put it out over social media. And so there's 3 different platforms, along with posting on the website, 4, that Ian set up for me to be able to do, to not only then submit and win awards, but just have content distributed across multiple platforms, engaging multiple mediums. Because that's where the industry is headed, is that you have to be a multimedia journalist to be able to do the things and compete at the levels that the journalists now compete at for all their content they create, and distributing it off over multiple platforms. And if it wasn't from that push that Ian had for me to go down the route of creating more audio and doing stuff at the radio station on top of Channel 8, I wouldn't be in the position I am today. On top of doing a master's. So then you throw that curveball. Not to like completely, just say it was all Ian, but I wouldn't be doing a master's if it wasn't for a call from Ian saying, hey, you should consider doing a master's. I think that this would be beneficial because of XYZ, and just think about it. And then he hung up. And he just like left me thinking and stewing in this like whole thought of, okay, I'm going to be assistant chief operator for the radio station. Do I start a master's? What do I research? He's like, well, what are you interested in? AI, blockchain, any of the cool things, crazy buzzwords, all those like unique kind of ideas about where things are headed with the internet and online. And he was like, you can do it. You'll do it. It'll be fine. Not really saying how it'll be fine or when. He just say it'll be fine. I'm going to be here helping you out. And I think that's the hardest part about it all, is that I got to go down this path of, pursuing a master's and being able to be a part of this program in so many different ways because of him, and like not having him here now to be able to see all the things that we do and get to experience now as a radio station is difficult, and so it's going to be amazing, being able to go to the Kansas Association of Broadcasters and accepting dozens of awards because of the students that he pushed to achieve the excellence that he saw in them. And it's difficult to feel. I feel like we were robbed of an amazing man in life, and it hurts me to think that I can't continue to experience this thing that he partly asked me and brought me along to do and pursue with my master's. So now I'm like, all right, it is for him, and it is to show and be able to almost prove, like, yeah, Ian was right. Like, I should be in this position. I should be pursuing these things that I'm doing because he saw something in me. At the beginning of the semester, the first class that we had for MC 165, where we brought everybody together for the first time since he passed. It was difficult. I mean, everybody was crying, and we had, people from counseling services there to help and talk through, and they kind of started it along with Andrew Smith. And Drew's been such a rock through this for so many people, and a foundation for me to be able to hold on to and come and talk to about in regards to how we're going to get through it and in terms of operations. But the way that I saw him impact other people, you just hear it in the stories that they share. I mean, day in and day out, people always discuss different things throughout the radio station. Oh yeah, Ian did this, Ian did that. And, it just is this constant presence that he's going to have for a while until, the next generation in 3 or 4 years comes down the line and they just hear a past distant story of Professor Punnett. But even though he hated being called that, he just wanted to be called Ian. It was just so humble of him in so many ways. It was just Ian. And that's really the way that he was able to get so many students to relate with him and be so personable with is, no, call me Ian. I'm a friend. I'm your friend. And I'm here to help you. And he was all the time. He was always open for a phone call and text message, email, whatever it is. I think he really impacted a lot of students based off of definitely what I saw on that first day of MC 165 when we all came back and we're talking about the stories and his life and the great things that he was able to achieve. I mean, what a crazy ending. You win Best College Radio Station in the nation. You get dozens and dozens of awards from the Kansas Association of Broadcasters, not only at the collegiate level, but then the pro level. We won second place medium market radio station as a college radio station. And we're competing against commercial radio stations at the KAB Pros. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense how, that was even possible to do. But Ian just did it. He was like, we're just going to submit for these, and we're going to be able to piece together this great content that not only will compete at the college level with for students, but then I'm going to take my own content, and then you're going to graduate. And so since I graduated and I technically wasn't a student anymore, and I did some stories over the summer, we submitted those stories and his content, and we won second place Best Medium Market Radio Station in Kansas at the pros commercial level. And on top of all the IBS awards and the BEA awards and the Hearst awards, and there's just so many different aspects of the things that he wanted to submit for and strive. I think that's really going to be part of why it was his legacy is going to live on for so long at the radio station, is because of the things that he was able to achieve and the relationships he was able to impact and provide to students in the best possible way. I think I'd want Ian to be remembered for his capability to connect with others and his want for students to succeed at the highest level. Being able to push somebody to find their voice and to find what they're passionate about, and then shifting his priorities and implementing their passions and ideas that they have into the radio station. And I just think that that's such a unique thing that will hopefully be able to be maintained, that I'm going to try to maintain as long as I'm here at K-State, to be able to keep that legacy alive of engaging students at the most personal level, to be able to understand what they're passionate about and what they want to do with their career. Because he was so driven on getting internships for people and figuring out how he can provide a job and a space, an environment where people feel like they belong at the radio station. And I think that legacy, that definitely this semester by far is being felt across every single aspect of the radio station. And we're trying to adapt, and we're trying to overcome the major loss that we had. But it's gonna be it's gonna be difficult to try to achieve some of the things that he was able to achieve, because a time and a place, there's always a time and a place for certain things. And Ian Punnett just so happened to be at Kansas State University in 2023 to win the best college radio station in the nation and over 40 plus KAB awards and a Hearst Award and all these things that were able to be achieved because he engaged students at the most basic level, finding out what they're passionate about, helping them create content that they want to create, and then flooding the field with that content. It's like, it seems so simple, but yet so many people just don't know how to, figure that out, and that he cracked the code. He really was the one who cracked the code. And because of that, I think that's partly going to be why he goes down as, one of the most influential and impactful educators that Kansas State has ever had in terms of communication and being able to engage students and provide a space for them to be able to excel and find out what they want to do with their life and career. Ian Punnett, to me, was a man of creativity and honor and respect and validation. I feel like I came to him so many times because I wanted to be validated, but then sometimes I would almost kind of not, because I was like, wait, I thought I'd come to you for the answer. He couldn't provide the answer, but he could provide the right direction to find the answer. I think that's part of the fun. And that's part of how you figure out the answer. You should figure out the answer yourself of what you want to do. But you can only really do that if you have the right path and guidance and that willingness to just try and figure out and be along for the journey. And that's why I, to this day, still live by the quote, "We aren't along for the ride, we are the ride." And it's kind of cheesy in some ways, but it's true. We are the ride. And in a lot of sense, Ian made that ride so much fun, because not only did we win awards, but we had pizza parties and we had so much just camaraderie and compassion for so many different aspects of what radio can be. And to me, Ian Punnett was a trailblazer, and in some ways will be always remembered as a trailblazing editing wizard that so many people were influenced by and impacted through that audio and that storytelling and that ability to engage people at the deepest level with the things that they're emotional about and wanting to understand more about. And he had the ability to, dip into that conspiracy side, but then also have that factual, investigative, source-based journalism, and he could go between the two. He could entertain, he could be on that conspiracy side, coast to coast, talk at 2 a.m. on the radio at night, and then the next day be able to come in and edit together sports audio and create a promo that hype up the football team and the people who we had doing the broadcast. And so there's so many different aspects of audio and radio that he'll be remembered for, and I just hope that doesn't get lost over the course of the years when everybody at the radio station now is graduated and gone. The future of the future students, the people who aren't here yet, I hope that those people who will be coming in and have no clue about any of the things that have taken place, over the last 3 years at the radio station at K-State. I hope that they come in with an open mind and an open heart and a willingness to learn, just like Ian did. He came into this program and he was very unsure about, the group of people, because it was very, very cliquey at certain points before he was able to come in and bring in a diverse set of people and figure out our on-air programming. And I just want the next generation of people and the future learners that want to create content and engage people over the airwaves here at 91.9 to have open hearts, open minds, and a pursuit of curiosity and willingness to learn, just like Ian did.